Hello Intuitors, it's Aria here, and I'm just about to get into doing a reading for everybody by their zodiac sign. It will be essentially a love forecast for 2019. I'm kind of focusing in on a time period of about 6 months because I plan on doing the reading again maybe once every 3 months or so to see how things are changing. But this is like a long-term love forecast for a larger period of time. However, I will say that I do expect that for every person, it might unfold a little bit differently timing-wise. For some of you, this story might unfold in a really, sooner time frame than 6 months, and some of you it might be farther out. I kind of look at it as the bell curve. So what I'm going to do at the end of the reading, make sure you stay tuned all the way till the end because I'm going to do a really fun pick a card reading that will give you a time frame that gives you a better idea, a sense of how and when this might unfold, because I know a timing question is something that I most often get. When do you see this likely to happen? I will have to say, however, that as a card reader, not only for myself but for others, I have found that because we all have free will choice, and because the energies that are being looked at any given time in a situation can always change based on the choices that you make or the choices the other person makes, that the timing can always be a tricky thing. And so understand that anytime we're looking at a timing situation or even any situation that's being painted in the cards, if it really resonates inside of you and you really feel the truth of it, then it's pretty likely that this is the course that you're truly on at this time, and that if no major decisions are changed, or like some of the things that you have free will choice in or that they have free will choice in, if there's no major changes in those, like where they're headed, that's the direction you guys are going. But of course, as human beings, we do have a tendency to, have monkey wrenches thrown into things. Maybe something else comes along that you didn't expect or see. And so, that can always change the outcome. But at any given time, I think it's actually a very useful tool to take a look at a card reading and say, okay, where are things headed right now? Because if I don't like this story, what can I do to change this? Or if I would like to see this occur, what can I do to make sure that it stays on course? So basically, that's how you can use these readings. Make sure to watch your sun, moon, rising, or your Venus as well, in case one of these readings doesn't really resonate with you. Maybe the other one will. Or maybe you'll get more details from one of the other readings as well. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, liking, and subscribing to my channel. And we're going to get right into your personalized reading for your sign of the zodiac. And looking forward to seeing you there. Okay, my Gemini. So, as you saw, I randomly pulled out the cards, and the spread is for the different areas of this. This is where you're currently at right now in regards to love. This is where you're headed. These are suggested actions to take. And the small cards below are the houses. If you're reading, oops. Okay, my Gemini, this is your reading. The left-hand side here, this group of 3 cards, is where you're at right now with love. This is where you're headed sometime within the next 6 months. The timing on it can vary. And this right here is the suggested action to take. Now, make sure that you watch your sun, moon, rising, or Venus, depending, like if you're starting to watch one of these readings and it just doesn't resonate because it's just not your story, then go on to one of the other ones. All right, so the bottom little small card is telling us what is the house. In the Normand, we can read, we get more information on the situation by looking at where this card will land. In a grand tableau, all the houses, or the cards are sitting on houses, but I can also draw from another deck of cards to see the house. So that's why I have done that. So first of all, let's take a look at where you're at right now. The fish is about money, and the fox is about business. He's a businessman, an entrepreneur, and it's about your work. So something new is happening at work, and that something new is happening in the area of change in your life. This is the child, and this is the stork. Now, the child and the stork can also mean pregnancy, so be careful for those of you out there who if you are looking to get pregnant, it could happen, and that's a good thing. And if you're not wanting to get pregnant, just watch out for that. And regardless, though, it really looks to me like this is more of, I feel like something new is going to come in to you, and in regards to love in your workplace. The fish is about finances, though, more specifically. So it also could be that you, because of a love situation, you are actually looking to find a new job, or making a change in your career, and it happens in the house of something that is sudden. The scythe is about sudden or cutting. So maybe something gets cut out of your life to make room for something new, but it has to do with money, and does look like it could be sudden. And because we also have this happening in the house of change, and it's new, I think it comes quite out of the blue for you. The fox is in the house of the garden. And the garden is about meeting places. It's about social gatherings, and just, even could just be having a date, but with someone, meeting many people, or even just a single person, but going and meeting someone out in a public kind of, away from home. So there is definitely something going on, I would say, in the work financial situation there. Let's take a look at something about where you are headed. There's a man who figures into play. If you're a woman watching this, then this would be your significant other, or vice versa. I also read this just as the masculine and feminine energies. So if you're in the same-sex couple, you're looking toward, like, if you know that you're the one that holds the primary masculine energy, this would be you. If you're the one that holds the primary feminine energy, then this is the other person. And so the whip is in the house of someone. And so what this is saying is there is about arguments, disagreements, fighting, and in general a painful situation. So even like, there's something painful happening, and that's where something is headed. So I'm quite, I don't see the connection between these two. Maybe we'll get there when I see the suggested action. In the outcome, this is not really a desirable outcome necessarily, although it is saying, that maybe if you meet someone new, because it does look like someone new is coming in, this is just something at some point that has to be dealt with. Let's take a look at these top cards, though. We have the trip, so it's travel, some kind of travel, and then there are some arguments and disagreements, but there's a key. The key to the arguments and the disagreement may be the trip and the travel, so maybe there was a discussion about travel, and there were arguments and disagreements about it with you and this man for whatever reasons. But the key is also in the house of things that worry you. So it could be that if you can deal with the things that worry you or him, like wherever there are worries, if you deal with those worries, it will help you solve this situation. So maybe those, whatever those worries have to do with the trip. And I do feel like I just right now don't see the connection, but I feel like this is connected. For some of you, this is somebody that you've recently met, newly met, or is somebody who you will meet soon. And because there is work connection here and there's a trip, it could be that there's, and I'm actually going to go to this now because I feel like the suggested action also helps with this worry and with the arguments. So the snake is in the house of secrets, and the snake is like, well, snake and clouds together is quite a negative combination, and it's not really boding well, except that it's saying it's, we have the sun shining on it, so the sun comes in and like dispels that. But the snake is negative, a negative person in some way that has like there's a bite to them, or there's something with or about them that is harmful or painful, or not a good thing. Now this could be a different person, but I'm going to read it as if it's this person for the primary, most of you who read this. So now, we all know that in relationships with love, just because we love each other very much doesn't mean there aren't ever any problems. So what's coming up and being highlighted here for you with this person is that you need to address these problems, and there are things that you don't know right away. You've maybe just met them, feeling with the newness, with changes that are coming. Someone's coming here, you maybe have just met them and things are going good at first, but or maybe even you just have only met them. Maybe you haven't even like really gotten into anything with this person yet. You need to be aware that it's important for you to discover what things Okay, I just heard, this doesn't make sense, but I heard ghosts in their closet. So, like, I mean, when I say it doesn't make sense, it's not necessarily what the snake is about, but I heard that. So that message was for someone. So you need to discover, you know, what might be the hidden things, the hidden unknown, that could, like, come back to bite you later if you, if they don't come out in the open now, is what I'm saying, because the clouds are overshadowing, the clouds are confusion and obscuring, and this is secrets. And so there is something that needs to come out. And if it doesn't come out, then it can play into arguments. I mean, even like this is a trip this person might be, and business trip, because this is a tower. And so the tower, one of its meanings, there's a couple different meanings, and one of its primary ones is actually corporate buildings. And but it also could be, besides a building or corporate building for business trip, it could also be this is about the past. And so I'm even getting, they're saying to me, a trip down memory lane. And so maybe even just going down into memories with this person, if you knew each other in the past, or even they're just going into their memories, or you are, then it can bring up some things, some worries and stuff. So there's some different ways that can play out. But what's coming up here is that in most cases, it's a literal trip, and that trip can be either work related or maybe into somebody's past, like they're going, you know, back home, for example, like where they came from for a while or something. And there's an argument about that. And the reason there's arguments is because you have worries. I'm feeling like this is them in most cases, or vice versa, but the other person has worries for some reason, and it's connected to maybe this, that it wasn't known. If this doesn't come out into the open, it's discussed and talked about, then these worries can come out later, and it even has the potential, you know, possibly to derail a situation of, you know, romance that's budding if it wasn't taken care of at the right time. Early on is what I'm really getting here. Early on needs to be taken care of. The sun in the clover is very, very big. It's saying you have the assurance that if you do work on this and address it. Oh, and they're reminding me to take a look at this. The fish, the clouds are in the house of fish, so what's being obscured regarding what you don't know, you know, snakes in the closet, and the secrets may have to do with something with money, because we have money here. So the money is in the house of the scythe, and that's something that's sudden. So something suddenly you discover a secret that has to do with money that you didn't know. It was being obscured by, you know, this person not telling you, and then later on that can come to bite you. It worries you. Maybe, you know, maybe there's worries about money, and it's about their business too. So different ways that can play out. But the sun is a super positive card. So where this and the clover come into play, it's just assuring you that all of this can be worked out. And, you know, the reason a reading like this comes up, and this is the reason I do readings for myself, and I look and do readings, I watch other YouTube videos, is because these kinds of situations that come up and you're like, oh, okay, now later on when it starts, you know, unfolding, then you're like, wait a minute, I need to make sure. It's kind of like dotting your I's and crossing your T's in this spread, because I think there's, you know, definitely a potential for success. This is a love reading. I didn't have any like major love and attraction and, you know, that kind of thing come up, but that's already the basis of this reading, is that there is love and attraction, and we're seeing what is going on in your area with that. And for whatever reason, Spirit wanted to show you know, this story for those of you who needed to hear it. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through the pulling of these cards, and we'll get into some more information that will help you with this scenario. Okay, so I pulled quite a lot of cards here. We'll just see how they play out real quickly. And the first thing that jumped out at me was the transformation card with the death. And that just jumped out at me because the change. Not that this, actually the change is not really, the stork is not about a death card. That would be more the coffin. But they just brought my attention to that it came up over here. I feel like this change is really quite significant for you in some way. And the change could involve like work and things like that, as well as meeting someone. But I feel the reason I'm meant to bring that up is that some of you may, even right now, be in a situation of the Nine of Swords, which is that kind of those thoughts that are harassing you, the worry. That's kind of like the mice card. And, you know, if what's eating at you, just know that something is about to change, and it changes very suddenly in the area of your finances, or the finances, you know, experience a sudden change, and it does turn out really well. Like, this is looking good over here. And then I see the Knight of Wands, and so the wands are about energy and creativity and passion, and it seems like with whatever's going to happen with this change in regards to your work or even love, because this can be someone that you meet and what is a love reading that you meet in a work setting, it does seem like there's a lot of passion there, and movement toward passion. I like to see that as well. So, you know, really allow the change to occur, and you know, like, you know, get excited about it. You know, the change can be a good thing. And then the Seven of Wands is here. This is the vice versa tarot deck, where the back and the front have a different view, and it kind of, I read them a little differently. This is looking at more like once the battle is over. And so here, someone needed to stand up for themselves, and, you know, they're standing and they're prepared to fight. And this is now that the battle is over. So I feel like they're, I feel like I really don't know where that place. So hold on, let me keep going. So we're going to take a look here at the suggested action. I will say that we do have the Four of Wands, which is nice to see in a love reading, because it does talk about union and happiness and living together, whether you physically live together or not, I don't know, but, you know, that happiness is there. And so I like to see that here. And we do have, though, this suspense, and I'm feeling like here on the bright side of things, it's more like about the aha moment and the realization and everything. But where we have the dark and the stars, I feel like that's kind of the unknown. And so you have this happy relationship that, you know, is unfolding for you, but there's still some things that are unknown, and that goes back to our snakes in the closet, as I'm calling them. So just watching out for that. And this is where the key is. The key is in the communication. I have a feeling now, this is where this card comes into play. This is more kind of like a caution, because I think on one hand it's good for you to stand your ground, like you need to find and you need to have this communication. I feel like this person isn't really wanting to divulge the secrets, because the secrets are here. The snake is there. Snakes are, you know, they're kind of sneaky, right? And then we have clouds that obscure things, and it is maybe possibly about money. And so I feel like it could be that there's some resistance. The Seven of Wands is about resistance. And so you may have resistance from this person about letting this information come forward. And it could be, you know, like maybe they're going to be like, yeah, you know, I had to declare bankruptcy a while back, and I, you know, I'm really ashamed and embarrassed about it. I mean, things are going to turn around. Look, we have the sun and the clover. So there's really nothing for them to worry, or for you to worry about. But if you don't deal with it, then it can blow up into something, and then you can end up with this. You could end up with an actual battle, and then, you know, the sword here is a sort of truth, but, you know, maybe the truth doesn't come out until the battle's already over, and you know, you have kind of like a whole different outcome with that. So just kind of be careful about that. Snakes just urge for caution is the thing as well. So we have the Queen of Wands. You could be dealing with a fire sign. We also have the King of Air, which could very well be you, but we're seeing her from her back. And so I feel like this is kind of this feeling here, whether this is you or them, someone's not wanting to face it. So, you know, whether, I feel like this is the other person. You're the Gemini here, you're the sword of truth, you want to talk it over, but there's someone here that doesn't want to face it. You're seeing the back of them. You know, it can turn out well. I mean, and I feel like, you know, you totally have the power to make it turn out well. We have the Magician, and we have the Two of Pentacles to end with. The Magician really is assuring you that you can, like, turn anything. You can magically turn any situation, because actually Gemini is related to the Magician. No, Gemini is the twins. What am I thinking? I'm thinking about Mercury. Mercury is related to the Magician, and the Mercury is the planet of Gemini. So there's the connection. So, you know, this is like that Gemini ability to really just like the mind and the mental power, and that's how the magician manifests through his mind and his perspicacity and his ability to, like, you know, like put everything all together and then create something new out of it. And that's kind of where I get this juggling act. And so this is, again, this gives me a feeling of a Gemini here. You're really in your element here with this whole reading. I feel like things will really turn out well for you. And yeah, I actually would love to know how this might resonate with anybody out there. Stay tuned at the end of the reading here, where I'll have a fun little the activity for doing some timing to see where some of this might come into play, or just anything you're wanting to know timing on, you can use that for. All right, now that we're done with that part of the reading, we're going to go into a fun timing activity that will give you a better idea or a sense of when some of the parts of this reading will unfold for you that resonated most with you. So what I'm going to have you do is think about 4 different time frames that feel the most likely happen with this story. For example, if you're like, you know, I don't really see this happening for at least a couple months, then pick that as your shortest time frame. But if you're like, yeah, you know, I really could see this happening within the next, 3 weeks or so, then pick that as your earliest time frame. Then pick out your latest time frame, and then pick 2 other time frames in between, whether it's whether it's several weeks or whether it's several months. Assign a time frame to each, your ace of diamonds, your spades, your clubs, your hearts, and assign a time frame to each one of those. I'm going to go ahead and do the yes or no answer kind of reading, and at the end of the reading we're going to end up with 2 yeses and 2 nos, and the 2 yeses are going to be your time frame. Let's go ahead and get right into that one now. Okay, so we now have our 2 yeses, and your timing for your question here is contained in these 2 on the ends. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we have. We have the ace of spades and the ace of diamonds. So whatever your time frame is that you chose, those are your outliers. And let's go ahead and take a look and see what we have coming up here. Well, we do have quite a lot of love on this side here. It does look like this started out with some kind of love relationship, that you will meet someone whether you have met them yet or not, and it does here say that you just really need to take action. So but not to be impulsive, but there is a new commitment, and it is time, you should take action is what's being recommended there. So you meet someone, you should take action, or they should take action, you both should. And be careful though that you don't get into kind of like a funk about things. Like, I feel like if there's no action that's taken, like the tendency for that, this is a warning here, because otherwise you can kind of get stuck. And because here also talks about indecision and a lack of faith, and then having difficulty moving forward in order to achieve change. So it just looks like there's love, but it looks like things are having a hard time getting off the ground because either one or both of you, and there's frustrations because of that, and then some confusion or doubt. And then there's a need to forgive and leave a situation that causes regret. So for some of you, it does feel to me like there, like I said, there was an initially someone that you have met. Maybe this has already taken place. You've already met this person. And if things are really stuck and aren't, isn't happening, then what's going to be needed in order for you to move forward and get the love in your life that you really want is to let this go. And remember, and it's a lesson learned. And then it does also, again, talk about obstacles that could stand in the way of your success and missed opportunities. So make sure you don't have a missed opportunity come up, because then we end up with the King and the Queen of Spades. We had the Ace of Spades. Interesting. I think there was a lot of love there because we do have a lot of hearts, but all of the hearts that we do have are in the negative position, like in the reversed position, and have their more negative attributes there. So not that that message is for everyone, but that was there for some people who needed to hear it. Now here's another message about how to move things forward toward your love relationship that I'm assuming is your desire since you are watching this video. All right, so We begin out with some, it does talk about not making any big changes because there's financial difficulties. So, although it does say that there's success in a new enterprise, so I feel like some of you actually may have started a new job or a new career, or you're an entrepreneur, or there's just something that you have started, the beginning of something, but it's causing some financial strain at first. And then you end up with a joyful outcome after that difficult phase. So things do turn around pretty quickly for you there. And so just really, that there's a lot to be grateful for in that regard. And but it does here talk about feelings of depression and hurt and anger have caused someone to be discouraged. Look past your anxieties because success will be eventual. Now, whether that's kind of in this the beginning here, or if it's kind of like, sometimes I'll read these and I feel like it's not necessarily that this is the order that it happens in, but this is all pieces of advice that need to come forward for some reason. You do end up having new friends and associates, and I do feel like that if you haven't met someone yet, that's possible that it could even come through the workplace. Be careful that you respond quickly to repair your actions if you realize that you have hurt someone, because it could come back to, kind of like a karma situation where it comes back around. Not because, I mean, you're a better person, of course, than doing it just for yourself, but you do need to watch out for things like that, because that energy of putting out something negative, even if it was unintentional, can come back and then make things difficult for you. So just make sure to put that into place. But you do have a feeling of happiness, and fewer problems are coming in regards to money. And then we do also have a matched pair again with the King and the Queen of Clubs. So that's looking good. Anyway, that's a little bit of a reading for your timing on the end of this spread.